marketplace is going for a ride.
I just feel like the system is not meant for people like me.
And hitting bumps along the way.
He's a service dog. The driver outright refused to take us, did not care that she was a service dog.
Why is traveling with a disability so difficult?
Where the hell is the button?
And still so risky?
You okay?
We point our cameras at some of the biggest offenders. They feel like they're an afterthought and go to the top in our search for answers.
That's absolutely unacceptable.
They have to be treated with respect, with dignity, and airlines should understand that.
This is your marketplace. We're putting travel to the test.
We're going up to Casa Loma.
3 Canadians.
So let's see if I can find that bus shelter.
3 modes of transportation.
Do you have the booking reference there?
And 1 central question. How easy is it for people with disabilities to get around? First up, we're testing air travel with Alessia DiVirgilio and her support person, Erica Katzman, heading to Charlottetown with Air Canada and comparing her experience to mine.
I've been in a wheelchair my whole life. Part of my disability affects all my muscles. And so as a result, it's difficult for me to breathe.
Alessia arrives at the airport 3 hours early.
This is just our normal. It takes twice as long, 3 times as long as someone who doesn't use a wheelchair.
Power wheelchair users like Alessia want to see air travel change. The biggest concern? She'll be separated from her mobility device. The seat transfers needed to make this happen can result in serious injury, and their wheelchairs stowed as cargo can arrive damaged or not at all. It happened to Canada's Chief Accessibility Officer, Stephanie Cadieux, just last month.
It's just a far too common experience. It's unacceptable. It isn't meeting the standards that are set.
And others have come forward since, sharing their stories. In White Rock, BC, Ryan Lachance says he was dropped and injured by staff.
The processes are available to teach their staff on how to do this all correctly, so just take the time and do it.
Rodney Hodgins says he was forced to drag himself off an Air Canada flight.
I felt humiliated, but I was also angry.
Now, Air Canada has been summoned by the feds to discuss all these issues. For Alessia, the trouble starts the day before.
We cannot approve you to travel.
Air Canada wants travel clearance from a specialist 24 hours before the flight.
You have to speak to the respirologist. That's what we need.
Without it, they say she can't fly.
I feel like you're giving me an impossible task when I sent you the information many days ago.
She scrambles, gets approved, but no one tells the staff at the check-in desk that crucial information. It's 40 minutes to figure it out. On the flip side, I arrive about an hour after Alessia. Check-in is a breeze.
Good to go.
And I have time to grab a snack before boarding. But what will happen when Alessia places her safety in the hands of Air Canada staff to get on the flight? While we wait, our rideshare and cab test begins.
There you go.
Yeah, that.
We hear over and over about the challenges of traveling with a service dog.
Here.
About 1 in 5 Canadians over 15 live with a disability, including Michelle Uyghur. Quinn is her service dog.
Let's go, Quinn.
With narcolepsy, there's 2 main symptoms she helps with. The first is cataplexy, some temporary muscle paralysis, where I can fall down on the ground. She also, when I'm tired, will brace against me. You need a very large dog to do that.
Michelle knows all about ride rejection.
We called for a taxi. When it showed up, the driver outright refused to take us, did not care that she was a service dog.
So, on the streets of Toronto, we're gonna see if Uber, Lyft, and 2 local cab companies give us a ride.
To book a taxi, press 1.
6 drivers each. Half know we have a service dog with us, the others don't. By law, they have to give us a ride. So, will they?
Hello. We need to go to Bloor and Crawford.
First up, the cabs. After a few successful trips, we seem to be on a roll. But then,
Yes, with the dog.
She's a service dog.
I have allergies. You have allergies? So no?
denied by a co-op cab. Watching along, Jeff Preston, an accessibility advocate who teaches disability studies at King's University College.
There's a tension here when it comes to rights, because what you have essentially are two accessibility needs that are coming into conflict. So if you have a driver who has an allergy, then that means you need to send another driver.
Hello? That's it?
Next, a Beck taxi.
There's the dog, yeah. No? What?
He's a service dog.
Ride rejected again. Next up is Lyft.
Hey, have a service dog.
We warn the driver about Quinn in the app.
Oh, he canceled on us.
That's 2 rejections for the cabs and 1 denial for Lyft. Beck Taxi and Co-op Cabs both say they're disappointed by our findings and have 0 tolerance for refusals. Beck adds they're sincerely sorry for what happened. Lyft says it has a strict policy and takes this issue very seriously. Now it's Uber's turn, a company that says picking up people with service dogs is the right thing to do.
Hi there. Hey, you have okay.
That's not true for a service dog.
But it's a service dog.
You're gonna cancel the ride. You're not gonna take us?
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a service dog.
Another driver gets the message about Quinn before arriving,
Okay, got it, he says.
Sweet.
and then cancels 2 minutes later. This Uber driver actually stops traffic on a busy Toronto street.
It's a service dog.
Comments on the dog,
Huh?
Service dogs are all sizes.
then drives away.
The Uber policy says quite directly that it's a service dog if it A, appears to be a service dog, or B, if the person has valid documentation to say it's a service dog. It's not up to the driver to determine whether or not it's a legal service dog or not.
That's 3 refusals for Uber. They want to respond on camera. So we meet up with spokesperson Kirsten Orang. What do you make of those results?
This is a very serious issue. Uber believes in equal transportation for all Canadians, and that includes riders with service animals. It's individual drivers who are refusing these rides, and we believe that we need to inform them of their legal obligations and our policy, which we do at several points throughout the year.
Doesn't seem like it's having much of an effect.
There is more work that can be done on this issue, and we continue to find ways of how we can make Uber and rideshare more accessible to more Canadians.
Back with our airline test, tension is mounting as boarding begins.
So can I board first then?
Wheelchair users are usually boarded first, but not in Alessia's case.
This is gonna be a big problem doing this with people there.
Watching me in my most vulnerable state. It's undignified to have to show myself in front of other people.
They halt further boarding of passengers, and Alessia heads to the cabin door. Removed from her wheelchair, Alessia is put into a lift and maneuvered past first-class passengers that are already seated.
If they don't lift in unison, if one person thinks that you said right and they go left, you don't know how comfortable they are with the process. Drop and slide.
Drop and slide, yeah.
It takes 4 staff an invasive process just to get her seated.
1, 2, 3.
20 minutes, but it's not over.
What is it like for you to sit on an airplane without being in your wheelchair?
It is, it's painful. It's difficult. You're just trying to find a moment of comfort. Physically, I can't get to the washroom.
We land in Charlottetown after 2 hours of flying. An uneventful trip for me, but for Alessia, it's a different story.
Okay, you're here. What was that experience like?
It was frustrating and infuriating and painful and undignified. I just feel like the system, the planes, the structure, the process, the bureaucracy is not meant for people like me, and when you try and enjoy a little bit of life, this is what you get to get there. It's just hard.
Coming up, is public transit any better?
I'd really rather not be following along the edge of the platform, but it's really my only option.
We're taking a trip to the west to find out. This is your marketplace. We're digging into air travel, vehicles for hire, and public transit, investigating whether they're meeting the needs of Canadians with disabilities.
Where are they? Ah, there they are.
We're in Calgary, Alberta for a public transit test with Peter Quiatini.
All right, Peter, ready to go?
I'm ready. Let's have some fun.
do it.
Okay.
Peter is blind.
I was born with poor vision, but now I'm at the point where I really have no more functional vision.
He volunteers with the city, but today he's sharing his personal views with us.
Based on your experience, how accessible is Calgary public transit?
They are making some good efforts, but there's a lot more to do.
Are the improvements happening fast enough?
For 2023, I don't think so.
Following Peter's lead, we're off.
They're called TWSIs, an acronym.
They're called TWSIs.
TWSI, Tactile Walking Surface Indicator. Here's one here.
Here, they mark the end of the sidewalk.
This technique is called shorelining.
Accessibility features help him make sense of the world.
So let's see if I can find that bus shelter. Aha, I found it.
But as the bus arrives, there's something missing. No audible route information.
Calgary, unfortunately, does not announce the bus when it arrives. So I can hear the bus, the brakes squeaking. Good morning. You're the number 7? Excellent, thank you.
On some buses, internal stop announcements exist, but aren't turned on.
I am approaching the platform. I'm looking for the ramp and the railing, because I like the railing. And here's the rail. Okay, good.
But when the railing ends, Peter uses a riskier guide.
Again, I'm shorelining. Oops. But the shoreline that I'm using is, effectively the edge of the platform. I'd really rather not be following along the edge of the platform, but it's really my only option.
That's not the only danger.
These are what they call
A floating bus island.
bus island.
Yeah.
It's a bus stop between a bike lane and car traffic.
So the risk is if I'm gonna be you. If I'm crossing here,
Yeah.
I get hit by a bike.
Yeah.
That's the issue.
Yeah.
In 2020, the BC Human Rights Tribunal found that some stops there discriminated against blind people.
I can't hear the bikes coming. And so measures need to be in place that encourage cyclists to slow down.
At another station, Peter's lost. There's nothing to guide him.
So I'm listening here for cues to tell me where the escalator stairs are. Okay, I hear something over here. Aha. Now, is this going up or down? So where's the upside?
This is obviously a bit more complicated of a station.
Well, and it's also, yes, it is. Ah, yeah, here we are.
One thing that could help, these tactile strips you can feel with a cane. Calgary is piloting them on the platforms of 2 stations out of 45. But this station is not one of them.
Okay, here we are out on the platform. So, okay, there's the edge. So that's where I don't want to be. Okay, here comes the train. Here comes the most stressful part of my life.
I'm gonna stay out of your way.
Yeah. Train is stopping. Okay. Where the hell is the button? Ah, there's one.
So does it happen when the train just moves and you haven't found the door yet?
That's happened.
Yeah.
Well, and the other thing is as I was feeling along, if someone had been ahead of me and opened the door, I've gotten either my hand or my cane caught behind the door, and that's no fun.
Accessibility advocate Jeff Preston.
So was this design ableist?
I would say, yeah. It was a design that was expecting a sighted user to enter the train.
Hey, where's my walk? Here we are. We made it.
Okay, we made it.
Public transit is a tremendous enabler, right? People get to work to it, they socialize with it, they build self-confidence with it. So the lack of an accessible transit system takes away from all of those characteristics.
We take Peter's message to Calgary's mayor, Jyoti Gondek.
There's all kinds of measures that are being taken, but we haven't got to the point where it is accessible for everyone.
The buck does stop with you. What are you going to do now that we've shown you all of this?
I will be going to my colleagues on council, and I will be going to members of administration to outline the things that you have brought forward to us. I will make sure that Peter's voice is heard and amplified. So it does stop with me, and my commitment to Calgarians includes making this a more accessible city.
Speaking of making things more accessible, we're on the final leg of our airline test when we document this scary moment. Alessia's ventilator is disconnected during a transfer without a lift. That's her ventilator tube.
Got it. 1, 2, go.
But there's another concern as I wait to board.
So Lyft has been transferred onto the plane. We are now boarding a wheelchair. It's been sitting out in the rain a very long time.
Damage to her power wheelchair is one of Alessia's worst travel nightmares. In Toronto, the final transfer. The lift is ready to go. But are the staff?
I haven't used this machine in a while. I know. I might have to go the other way around.
They leave to turn the lift around. Regulations say staff must be trained every 3 years. But we hear this.
Sorry, I haven't used this machine in probably 7 years.
This bar here turns a little bit, doesn't it?
Not through there. There's nothing here for that. It's.
Oh, sorry. I think the chair.
No.
That's my. Oh, you okay?
It's her feet. Hang on.
It's the chair.
It's not from here.
Like even this, it's supposed to turn. Oh, there we go. See.
And as they lower her into her wheelchair, the lift tips.
Oh, we got it. Okay, there. I got it.
It's really hard to watch. It's extremely hard to watch.
What we hear often is that it would just be easier if I was able to stay in my wheelchair. Is that the solution here?
I think that's one of the solutions.
The transfer has taken a toll on Alessia.
So we're just gonna give Alessia some time right now. She needs to decompress, but obviously this is really emotional for her right now. She's gone through a lot.
Do you think that Air Canada needs to up its training regime when it comes to staff?
Absolutely.
Days later, we catch up with Alessia.
To say the word terrifying just doesn't fully capture how you feel. It's like in some way you're glad that you're sitting on your chair and that you're alive and you're breathing. But in other ways you feel like someone just threw you in your chair. I had felt the lift hit me on the head.
It did hit you on the head.
It did hit me on the head.
Do you have an overall message for Air Canada?
Why is my experience so different from yours, Travis?
We're taking that question to the people in charge.
Our message to all of our customers that we may have let down is that we are truly, truly sorry.
This is your marketplace. We're investigating the challenges people with disabilities face while traveling.
What do I do with it? 1, go.
Oh, we got it.
We ask Air Canada repeatedly for an on-camera interview, but they decline. They say they've apologized to Alessia and tell us the vast majority of customers with mobility needs traveled without issue, and in those relatively rare instances where barriers were encountered, we moved quickly to address concerns. But the person in charge of making Canada accessible says it's not enough. Federal Minister Kamal Khera.
These are real people that say that they feel like they're an afterthought. They want action, and they're not seeing that.
That's absolutely unacceptable. Do we need to do better? Absolutely. We're working alongside, of course, our Chief Accessibility Officer, and I work extremely closely with her. Myself, alongside Minister Rodriguez, Minister of Transportation, are not going to be, as I mentioned, work with the Canadian Transport Agency, not only to ensure that they're held accountable, but that they need to do better.
Just one day after our interview with Minister Cara, Air Canada is summoned to Ottawa to meet with her and the Minister of Transport, Pablo Rodriguez. Before that meeting, we show him what happened to Alessia.
It's shocking to see those images, and this is one of the reasons that I summoned Air Canada also to come and meet with me this week. We've heard many stories. The one with Madame Di Virgilio and the other ones we've heard in the last few weeks, we just learned about them. So that's the reason why I said, okay, guys, that's enough. I want to see Air Canada in my office now. Do they understand that there is a problem? Because if they come to see me and say, it's all good, Minister, it's all working, I'm saying, no, it's not working. Explain to me what's not working and explain to me how you're going to fix it.
Alessia and others in this community say that they want to be able to take their wheelchair onto the plane. Do you support wheelchairs going?
If it's possible, yes.
But we still have questions for Air Canada. Tom Stevens, VP of Customer Experience, agrees to speak with our colleague, Ashley Burke. She asks about Alessia.
She just wants to be treated with dignity when flying.
Our message to all of our customers that we may have let down is that we are truly, truly sorry. We don't want to get into individual cases here because we'll have a discussion directly with our customer, but we have made changes to ensure that dignity is absolutely protected for all customers that are traveling.
Minister Rodriguez says he'll be keeping an eye on Air Canada.
What can your government do to hold Air Canada to their word and accountable?
Well, the first thing we told Air Canada that was unacceptable what happened, and they agreed with us. We told them that they need a clear plan on the short term and long term. We're going to meet again in December to see how things improve.
So they'll be watching, and so will we, to see if Air Canada's promised changes actually take off.